Think about what you did.
Nobody makes it to the end of these things. Come on.
The Broken Agenda Podcast. Sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.
Wait, who? Who freshly squeezed?
Deschutes Freshly Squeezed.
What is it, Deschutes?
Deschutes is the brewery. Freshly Squeezed is an IPA.
Oh, okay. Well, what is it? What is it? What's squeezed? What did they squeeze?
It's just got it's got citrus hop in it, so it's just like a really refreshing and good, skunky, but not bitter ale.
All right, that actually sounds pretty good. Are you looking it up?
A citrus.
Yeah. Oh, let's see this thing. Shoots
Yeah,
freshly squeezed.
Honestly, I have a hard time buying any other keg. Ever since I've started drinking it.
All right, I'm not gonna lie. That's some good marketing. That looks delicious with the bubbles.
I get turned away from IPAs though.
Yeah, they get so heavy.
I was convinced that they were. Somebody was like, "I'm gonna make the worst beer I possibly can," and then everyone's like, "Oh, this is so good," but it's everybody just in on the joke. Like, I don't want to be the first one to admit this sucks.
You're getting punked.
I first liked IPAs when I had Stouts Pale Ale with the American flag one. That's before this whole.
It's a bit hoppier.
Yeah, but that's not an IPA, is it?
Yeah.
It's kind of
Stouts.
It was just a regular pale ale, though, wasn't
Just
it?
a regular pale.
No, it was India.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. That was the first time I had it, and that's before the whole craze. And I was like, "What kind of beer is?"
Well,
this?
you know what? The same thing happened every time it happened. Hipsters ruined it. There were some decent IPAs in the beginning, and then hipsters got involved, and they're like, "What if I melted a piece of pizza into this and charged $37?" And,
I guess it's an acquired taste for sure, but
it is.
I like it. I prefer it, but it has become like a.
Just like a challenge to, I'm going to do a 960-minute IPA.
Yeah, it's getting kind of out of hand, and now it's almost like a.
I don't know.
What's the word I'm looking for? It's like almost like a yuppie thing now.
It's a hipster thing. That's what it is. I mean, once you start like feeding animals a certain diet so that you can boil their excrement just to make the perfect base, and then. You know, if you have to start talking about the chemistry behind it to convince somebody it's worth drinking, you've already lost. Like, it should just be yummy. Like, I don't know. Like, when a guy in horn-rimmed glasses starts telling me, when he says beer and pH in the same sentence, I immediately just shut down. Like, I'm not soaking any of the things.
I don't get into it that much. I like this creme brulee beer.
That's the one you brought for us, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that was.
I did.
That was pretty good.
Wasn't that good?
Had like the nitro thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I'm so juvenile with my taste, but I really like the root beer beers.
Oh, those are good. Yeah.
Not more than two, but what was the big one?
Not Hank.
Not your
father's root beer.
Yeah, not your father's root beer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know that stuff. I can have one or two and be happy as a clam. They're so good.
Orange soda was good too.
The orange soda was good.
That was good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm with you. I'm not a big IPA fan. I like if it's a light IPA and it's not 9% alcohol and taste like you're eating a basket of Brussels sprouts, then there's actually some I like. But
I don't mind hops, like a hop forward beer, but it's usually like when you get into the stouts and stuff, you start tasting the more hop forward stuff. But a lot of the IPAs I've tried, it's like, all right, I'm rather drink like a sour or something at this point.
Well, I don't want to be hammered. Like a 9% IPA. If I have 2 pints of that, I'm not driving home. Like, that's it. I'm done. I got to get an Uber, and that's 2 pints.
IPAs aren't necessarily. But it seems like they're making them now like double hopped, but the hops don't do anything.
That's the contest now, though, isn't it? Though, like
ABV.
Yeah.
It seems like
hops don't do anything to the alcohol content. No. Like they double hop it like a 90-minute or 120-minute. That's just how much hops they put in. So that's going to make it like bitter.
Right. It's going to give it flavor.
Which, like, I'm not really big on bitter stuff.
Okay.
So it is starting to get like. The high alcohol content, I don't like too many of those either because you start to like taste almost like a liquor aftertaste, right?
Yeah.
So I don't like that. I don't like when they start getting.
Look, if you're gonna start going to double digits on the alcohol content, I'll just take a glass of wine.
I'm usually good up to about 7%.
Yeah.
And after that,
I've had like 3 or 4 that
6.4
that hit 8.
About where I'm at.
Yeah, I've had like 3 or 4 that have hit 8, and you can't tell. Like the pumpkin that I have right now, that's Southern Tier Pumpkin, right? That's like 8.4. but it doesn't. You don't really notice it.
That's a lot of booze, man.
Do you still brew?
No, I mean I set it up. I just don't have the time.
Isn't that the way of everything?
I mean I'd like to, but
That's why I just said I'd love to start brewing beer again, but
I
just
thought
the time to do it.
there was this moment where time was starting to open up in my life, and then just as quickly as it opened, it closed.
Well, then you got into cryptos.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. That's the suck all your time out of your life.
Yeah.
Well, I always think when I retire, I'll have time for this stuff. But then I look at my dad. He retired, and he doesn't do anything. And as I get older, I'm like, that's probably what's going to actually happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to retire and just be like, I'm just going to sit for 8 or 9 years. Like, I haven't sat in 30 years. I'm just
Done enough stuff.
going to sit down until 2046.
I can't. That has to be a surefire way to, like, lower your life expectancy to just sit around. I can't see how that's
Way to crap all over my retirement jeans, Jimmy. No, I don't think so. No, because I'll use one of those squeeze balls.
You'll start sitting there. Next thing you know, you're wearing an adult diaper, rocking, watching TV.
That sounds so good.
You're just like, I'm not even feel like getting up.
No, I'll get
Grab
one.
me a new diaper, honey.
Yeah, I'll get one of those in-home nurses to wipe my rear. Oh, it'll be so good.
You mind changing it too?
That's right. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic. My legs will be perfectly fine. I'll get a wheelchair. Just
for the sake of it.
Look at me using my legs like a sucker. That's lame. Ridiculous.
The ones with the joystick, the electric ones.
Absolutely. No. What? I'm gonna push myself?
Yeah.
Am I an animal? Get out of here. Come on. Savage.
That would be like exercise.
That would be ridiculous. All right. So what are we talking about today? All right. So it's a little loose this week. We didn't have a guest, so it's back to basics. And all right, so let's give a little background to anybody watching the show. So we're going to talk today about a bunch of stuff, but the genesis of this episode comes from shadowbanning. And if you're not sure what shadowbanning is, basically what it is like YouTube's famous for it, where they don't like something that you did or said on one of your episodes, so they don't tell you, they don't notify you, they just eliminate you from the algorithm, and if somebody searches, you don't come up, period. You just vanish. You never get a notification, you're just gone. We
Gone,
care,
but you don't know it.
You don't know it.
You think everything's the same.
Yeah, you think everything's ducky, and your viewership is just way down. We only bring this up because we were recently shadow banned by YouTube. It was a lot of fun. I kind of feel a little proud of it. Is that okay? I mean, I'm not happy that our shows aren't being found on YouTube, but kind of feel like I'm in like a club, like an exclusive club.
Like maybe you're right. Maybe you're doing
Maybe
something right.
I don't know. I mean, it's like it's like the podcast bad boy club.
I thought you said if you search it directly,
We should get
comes
matching
up.
leather jackets.
Didn't you say that if you search it directly?
No, so Tyler, you want to pull it up and see? So
Yeah,
if you search on Google for the Broken Agenda podcast, we come up all over the place, and Tyler will show you on screen right now. But you'll notice first of all, we're not going to show up on YouTube. They were on Apple. They were on Spotify. I can't really read all this stuff that
It's
well.
like laughing, right? It's all the podcast.
Yeah, on Amazon. Like we're all over all these podcast sites I never even heard of. I didn't know we're on, like Anchor FM. We're showing up on page 1. Nothing from YouTube, which Google owns YouTube. Mm-hmm. If you go to videos, which all the videos pretty much the Google shows when you run a search are YouTube videos. Mm-hmm. Nothing. Now, what I did figure out, Tyler, is if you put quotations around,
Yes.
we will come up.
At least
Now,
the playlist will.
yeah, the playlist. Now, don't get me wrong. Nobody's going to put quotations around. This is not a realistic, real-world thing. It did on YouTube.
Yeah,
Okay.
when you're on actual YouTube. Yeah.
All right, so we've been completely blackballed from Google, from YouTube on Google. Now, if you go to youtube.com, again, if you search the Broken Agenda podcast or just the Broken Agenda, we do not come up. But if you put the parentheses on, it actually will find our channel at least. Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff doesn't even make any sense. Like,
Well, you get
is Ontario's pricing model broken? The agenda. Come on. Like, that's bonkers.
I was testing this earlier today to try to see so I went through at least half of our videos and I did some.
I wonder what it was that we said.
COVID. It's usually COVID.
Now, hold on. Now, wait, that was us.
Yeah, so I just took away the.
Okay, so Broken Agenda comes up just our playlist, not an actual
playlist.
episode.
Yeah.
So it'll find the name. And if you put it in parentheses, it'll come up. And I think it actually brings up a couple of episodes too. Or not parentheses, quotations. I don't know. It could COVID obviously, but I was reading. So I actually put a link in your agenda here. Yeah. Now, if you do that in quotations, it actually brings up episodes, and you can actually not everything, but at least we show up.
But so just to give you guys an idea, like these episodes are now titled The Broken Agenda, Episode 42, Labor Shortages. I want to see if we could trip out the algorithm. It's not updated yet, though, for some reason.
No, I think that's a good idea. I mean, it shouldn't matter.
Probably not, but...
I mean, the fact that Google doesn't show us at all, even though every single other podcast channel comes up with us as the first result, I think speaks for itself.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
It is interesting. Now, we don't really care. We have the bulk of our traffic is not necessarily YouTube. It's not a big thing. But it did beg the question, why? So you think it was the COVID episode? So now, do you think there's something specific we did on that episode, or you just think because we said the word COVID?
So what I started finding interesting on Google is they scan and add subtitles for all of our videos. So they have their AI scanning it and writing out the dialogue. So I think they're just finding keywords, and we don't necessarily talk about
what they're scanning.
Things,
so they're scanning all of the words and literally documenting the conversation.
You're saying they're transposing the conversation into text and then scanning the text? And then,
yeah, I mean, that's what their AI is doing.
Then they can just put in phrases.
Then they're just finding specific phrases.
Yeah, but even still, we're not edgy. I mean, we do say some stuff that,
No, but, and maybe we'll get into this as we get further, I noticed that shadow bans and bans are usually for a certain side of the spectrum.
Yeah, well, they shadow banned conservative speech. Yeah, when we had an episode on guns. See, I think the episode on guns could have been it.
It could have been, yeah, absolutely.
Because they actually talk about
do you
have access to the agenda on that computer?
Yeah, you actually had guns on the
Did you email it to me?
Yeah, but you can go to watch videos with guys shooting stuff.
You can. Now, just Google community guidelines, YouTube community guidelines. And I read through the community guidelines as part of the show prep just to kind of see. They do specifically call out a lot of nuance on gun rules. Now, we didn't violate any that I could figure out, but I got to be honest. If you read through their community guidelines, every single one ends with, but we can do whatever we want.
We can, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, is that okay? I mean, should they be able to do whatever they want?
It depends on what perspective you take, right? They're a private, they're a company. They're not a government organization.
Right.
So they technically can, right? Businesses can do what they want to do.
I mean, do you agree with that?
I don't know. That's always kind of a catch-22 because, there's things I see that are just like, I don't know. I don't know if you can. I've saw videos of Iraqis going down and doing an execution line.
On YouTube.
It was a YouTube video.
It was a YouTube.
I don't know how. I'm sure that's off of there now, but
no,
I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. I do agree with you. As a private business owner, I do not think anybody should have any say. I should be able to choose who I sell to, when I sell, and how I. But they do take federal protection.
Well, and that was going to be my part B. They've grown to a point where they are.
I mean, if you wanted to sue YouTube right now for monetary losses from them hiding our show, you cannot.
Right.
Because they're protected under, what is that title? We talked about this in another episode.
Yeah,
Title 29 or something like that. I don't know what it was. But at the end of the day, that is the same law that is set aside so that you can't sue the paper manufacturer that supplies paper for a newspaper, which means that they are a medium, not an opinion site. They're just the medium for which opinions are given, which means they immediately, by accepting that protection, lose the ability to govern content.
Correct. Yep.
Content should be governed not at all by them. I don't know if anybody should. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I have my opinions on that. I mean, do you think content should even be governed? I guess that's a real waste.
And there's certain content that should be.
Like what? Where do you draw the line?
Like harm to children and stuff, right?
What kind of harm to children?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really want to watch people beating kids and shit.
Okay.
There's another
more explicit version.
There's a group on Facebook that kills animals live. Right, they just torture animals.
That seems made up. Is that real?
I have no idea.
Can we look that up? Like, is that?
It's actually they have them in their private pages, right? So you have to get invited.
Oh, okay.
Now, I don't know how I ended up seeing it or reading about it. I don't remember exactly.
Kind of Google searches where you
Did you ever see that?
Jimmy goes to dark places, man.
Did you ever see that? Like Facebook actually has people that sit there and scroll stuff every day. So if they get onto like a bad page, like those people have to go through it, and they got to look at like really horrendous stuff.
Well, I don't think I want to do that.
That's like their job. So like all these people are like going crazy. Like they do this job and they like mentally collapse, and I don't know.
I mean,
I don't think we did anything to be banned. Like, we didn't do anything that justifies being banned outside of the fact of our point of view.
Yeah.
Which, to me, is appalling.
You think our point of view is appalling?
I think our point of view is why we were...
Oh, I thought he was saying that
I think our point of view is why we were
I'm disgusted by your opinions, Tyler.
You know, I think it was a couple of liberal pukes that made the decision. And
It may have been. I really don't know. I was trying to find a way to find out from them how we get un-shadowbanned, and
sorry. I shouldn't have said that, I suppose, but that's what I think.
You're fine. What are we going to get, double shadow banned? Is it super secret probation?
Yeah.
Whatever. They already shadow banned us, so eat turds. I don't know. I always thought the line was very easy. I always thought that we already have laws. And if what you're doing is breaking a law, then it should just be kicked over to the Justice Department.
Yeah.
You should notify whatever authority is responsible, whether it's the FBI or whether it's you may not know the local police for that particular user, so you just kick it over to the FBI and they can figure it out from there. But I don't know that beyond that, if it's not illegal, it might not be great. Like, for example, killing animals is illegal, like for gratification. You're not allowed to abuse animals and kill them for fun. There are rules about killing and the treatment of animals. So if you're breaking the law, that should immediately just be handed over to whatever the justice authority is and wash your hands of it and you're out.
Yeah.
If they say you have to pull it
then
down, you pull it down.
Like, and literally you're providing the evidence.
Yeah, well, you just say,
So
just
it's
say
like,
this was reported to us. We feel this is a violation of a crime. Take a look and tell us what to do. Yes, that is a state crime in multiple states, or else you need to pull that content down and notify that user. Or no, leave it up so that we can track the followers. Pull it down and don't notify them. Pull it down and notify them. Whatever makes the most sense. But leaving it up to, a 23-year-old kid to figure out what's ethical is messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
It's my opinion.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. I just know that we didn't do anything to deserve to be banned.
We definitely didn't kill the animals.
Our ban, I think, is just because somebody with an opposite point of view was, decided to, because ultimately some person at some point in time goes in and makes the decision.
Well, and you see, and here's the thing. I don't think it's evenly being applied. So, for example, abortion is legal in most parts of the country. You can't show an abortion. Like they would pull that down, but I don't really understand why not. It's not illegal. It is a medical practice. I mean, maybe you should put a warning on there for weak stomachs. You can't really show like an open heart surgery, like any of these things like that. I don't really understand why they put random limitations on stuff. Maybe you gotta put a warning on it.
Can you not watch open heart surgery on YouTube?
I thought I read something. Maybe not. Let's check this.
I'm gonna check it. No,
Let's check it.
I'm just interested.
Let's see if we can see open heart surgery. And we're apologizing to anybody watching this. If you got a soft stomach, we'll give you a heads up if we pull it up.
I'll switch it back.
I
I can't imagine they wouldn't show an up.
Okay, so this video may be
Episode
inappropriate for
flag,
some
yeah.
users. Now, all right, so go ahead and see if can you watch an abortion? No, I do not want to watch an abortion, but can you?
Jesus.
Oh man, I kind of want to watch this. I know he's not sharing the video, but we're watching an open heart surgery right now, and it is awesome.
How can you it doesn't even look
this.
bad. Like, what is that?
Whoa. Okay.
Oh my God. Abortion pills.
Okay. There's a lot of interviews of people that have had abortions or want to get abortions, but I'm not seeing the procedure here. I don't know. It just seems arbitrary to me. Some stuff you can post, some stuff you can't. It doesn't seem to follow the law. It just seems to be whatever you're comfortable with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think so. I think if you're uncomfortable with something, you need to lobby your legislature. And if enough people all think this is wrong, that's kind of how representative government works. You know,
Right.
we'll pass a law restricting it or doing whatever, and then yes, it should not be on here. Otherwise, put a warning on it and move on with your day. I mean, yeah, this might be a little graphic, but you know, this is how abortions happen. Don't watch it if you've got a soft stomach or if you don't agree with this on ethical grounds or whatever.
Well, then you go like cross borders, like in other countries, there are things that, like what would be the example? I guess killing's not legal anywhere, but
Well, I don't know. There's legitimate reasons you can kill in other countries. I believe can't you kill a woman in certain Middle Eastern countries for cheating? I think
Yeah,
they can be stoned, right?
There's a lot of reasons you can kill a woman in
Yeah.
the Middle East. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's legal killings in a lot of places that aren't like.
I don't know, man. It's a hard. I don't think we did anything to deserve what's going on. That's what I mean. I think some little, like, you know, I just think we were banned because of somebody's opinion.
Well, it could have been. We could have gotten reported because
There's nothing we
did.
did. There's nothing, absolutely nothing that we did to be banned.
Best I can figure is
ridiculous.
we showed a couple of unloaded guns just as an
Yeah.
example.
Right, but
Of what people should, if they're looking to get started. And we had an episode where we talked about, you know, the disease that happened in 2020. I shouldn't say it anymore, should I?
no.
We should give it a nickname.
Look at this guy.
You know what we should call it?
You see that guy's table of guns right there?
Yeah, I see
We
it.
weren't banned for guns.
All
We
right.
just had like 45 guns.
All right, you're right. We weren't banned for guns. All right, so you're right.
So
it was probably
It was someone.
Miguel the elephant. That's what we're going to call that disease that came out in 2020. It's probably our conversation on Miguel the elephant. Oh, it could have been. Wasn't it a different episode?
Let's watch that gun video.
Where we
right there.
talked about
He's fine.
the proposed solution to Miguel the elephant that didn't actually solve Miguel the elephant. Wasn't that a different episode?
Who's Miguel?
No,
Miguel.
Is he a real character?
it's that thing that happened in 2020.
Remember in 2020 there was a thing,
That elephant showed up in the U.S.
the elephant in the room, that everybody hid in their room.
Oh, you're still.
We were all afraid, so we
Don't
stayed.
say
You're
it.
incognito.
Don't be cool, man. It's Miguel the elephant.
We're
Well-
already banned.
It's. I know, but what if like
We all sheltered in place.
what if
We get like a double ban sentence.
I don't know, what if Spotify gets onto the scene with the YouTube stuff and
Well,
next thing you know we're off Spotify. If we're off Spotify, we're in trouble.
I mean, Spotify does flag that episode.
Does it?
As COVID? Yeah.
Dude, Miguel.
Or-
Come on.
Whatever.
Fair enough.
That's so stupid.
All right, it is so stupid.
Look
but
at them all.
but-
Look at all the words. Look at all the elephants. You know,
It's-
they're everywhere.
They are everywhere.
I mean, it's
I,
like
I don't know. I honestly don't know. It could have been it could have been one of a couple of episodes, but none of them were wrong or inflammatory. I don't know. Whatever. At this point, we sound like we're whining. I mean, so let me ask you this: even if we all agree that they have the right to do it, whether or not that's true or not, I don't agree it's true unless they give up their legal protections through the law. But even if we agree that that's true, is it right to shadow ban? Because shadow banning, you're not getting a notification. You have no repercussions. You have no way to fix it, and it could very well impact your livelihood.
yeah,
I mean, all of a sudden you
I
completely stop getting advertising revenue because you have no viewership.
well, you have biased people in charge of banning people, and that's horrific. So I think the process of, you know, banning, you know, the problem is there is no kind of, I hate to use the word regulation, but the way these people, like what these people are doing with their bias banning is kind of criminal activity, right? So you can't just selectively ban somebody because you don't like their point of view, or you're there's some serious repercussions I think that need to happen to these companies when they're not being consistent. You know what I mean? If they're going to do it, that's fine, do it, but then you need to be consistent across the board.
I hear you.
You know, so that is the real problem. And to me, that's criminal. And there should be suits filed, and they should have to pay damages, right? If you can pull together the information to show that X accounts were banned and Y accounts weren't, I think that's like a cause for a class action lawsuit.
What were you going to ask?
How do you unbias it?
Well, I don't know, because it's the hiring committee. You know, it seems like in these companies, I think the hiring has become biased.
See, that's why I think it should just go off the law. Like the law,
should be- yeah, it
the
should be
law is
based off
already
law.
agreed upon by at least theoretically a majority of the populace.
It seems to me like they have packs of people, you know, in Google and Facebook that are like, you know, leaning one way, and then they're banning one direction.
Well, it does.
That's just
the band.
like,
They're banning the band One Direction. That doesn't seem right. They didn't do
banning
anything
the
wrong.
band. So that, to me, I think that's really the question: is what should the repercussions be for the companies that are
You know what's funny, Jimmy? I just realized. You know what this kind of sounds like? What the riots in Iran right now. So they're rioting in Iran right now because the morality police beat a woman to death. The morality police. So they actually have a police force that doesn't implement and enforce laws. They enforce morality, which is exactly what this is. I mean, they'll not show you things because they feel it is morally wrong to share that information. So, for example, if you were to talk about Miguel the elephant in a way that is not the generally accepted method of talking about Miguel the elephant, there's nothing illegal about that. You're allowed to have a conversation about different ideas in this country, theoretically. But the morality police can take you and beat you to death in the back of their police car. And I think that's where having the equivalent of an Islamic morality police happening, but digitally, where they're shutting you down, taking you out back behind the shed, and, you know, beating you with an elephant trunk. I don't know. That's what it feels like to me.
It seems to me like that's where I think I would love to see the law step in and come after these companies and the employees.
They can't. So they're currently operating under the same protections as newspapers.
Well,
So, which in my mind has the only reason I can even think that even exists is because of lobbying.
I wouldn't think.
You
to
give
get
enough
that
money, you
protection.
buy yourself protection. But I mean, it's like a mob racket.
I still could guarantee you that, like, if a class action lawsuit was to come together, I could guarantee you.
But you
that
can't sue.
if
They're
you-
immune from lawsuits.
Well,
they wouldn't even have to defend themselves. They would literally just send a letter going, "Yeah, we're immune from immunity." Did you ever see Lethal Weapon? It's that.
Well, I could see.
And we don't have Mel Gibson anymore because he yelled at some Jews. So that guy's gone.
Here's what I would say. I'd say, okay, you can be immune because you're not the creator of the content, but we're talking a separate. The separate act here is that they've only banned one side. To me, that's the criminal act. The criminal act. So to
And the
me
way
now
they're
is
getting
like,
around that is they claim they're outsourcing the what do they call it? Truth verification. What's the word they use for that? Fact checking.
Yeah, fact checking.
They're outsourcing all the fact checking to third parties. They're not. It's really just them doing it under the guise of another LLC.
And I'm pretty sure all that can be figured out.
I don't think anybody wants to take the case. Nobody wants to spend millions of dollars fighting a case that they pretty sure has
Not anyone.
congressional protection.
Yeah, not any one person, but a class action lawsuit would be.
Well, you still need a
an
law team
appealing-
to take it on. I mean, a lot of people can sue, but somebody has to put the case together, fight the fight. And if there's no money there, I mean, I think the problem here is you've got to get rid of that protection first. Until then, the law is not on your side as a consumer. There's no recourse here.
See, I think they committed a crime.
The other problem here is it's not a fee-based system. There is no loss that can be proven. So the law works under a couple of key elements, and one of those is you have to show some sort of loss. So now you can theoretically show a loss from shadow banning. That is absolutely true because you have income that has been reduced, and that's a loss of income. But users can't really show a loss. It's a free service. You sign up with an email address and you're on. So, from a legal standpoint, just don't use it. I mean, that's really where it comes from. So without being able to show a definitive loss, it's very hard to make any type of damages relevant. And without damages, you really don't have a basis for a strong lawsuit.
Well, maybe not us, but I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of people who could.
And there are especially, I know the Blaze Media has made a big deal off of this because they get demonetized and they get shadow banned on a regular basis.
Say one of the biggest guys in gun media is shadow banned technically.
What is his deal?
Coleon Noir.
Never
Did you
heard
ever
of
hear him? He's a good guy. You should watch him. But yeah, they pulled him from the algorithm essentially. And this dude is like the biggest name in.
What was he doing?
He's just a gun guy. That's
So
all he
if-
talks
so
about.
if they're
he's a
outsourcing-
lawyer who's a gun guy.
Ah,
So if they're
can talk
outsourcing
about-
fact checking, right? But then they're coming back internally, deciding to pull something from the algorithm. Isn't their responsibility to verify what they?
I believe from what I've heard, what they're saying is if the independent fact checkers, if they decide that something violates the terms of use or the community guidelines, then they make that recommendation, and the social media sites, this is all going off of Facebook and Google. I don't follow all of them, but Facebook will just take those recommendations and implement them. They don't argue with the fact checkers. So that's how they're trying to maintain that separation. Like, we don't get involved. We kick it over to the fact checkers. They tell us we should be pulling this down, demonetizing, blackballing, deleting, whatever they recommend, and we just do it. That way, we're not involved. I mean, the whole thing is suspect, but that's the protection they're kind of setting up for themselves. It's kind of like a cop who's speeding getting pulled over by his or her partner and saying, I don't know,
Yeah.
they didn't give me a ticket. I must not have done anything wrong. It's like, no, you still were speeding. You just, you had your own partner pull you over, and they're like, hey, you just don't pull me over next time I speed. You're like, hey, high five. And then you over. I mean, it's collusion.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, we're at the halfway mark here. I did not think this was going to go this aggressively. We're going to have to fly into some of this stuff because we got a lot to cover here, and I really want to talk about Elon buying Twitter. So why don't we take a quick break, hopefully make some money, not from YouTube, of course, and, we'll be right back. Cool.
Cool.
The Broken Agenda Podcast. Sponsored by Laughing Rock Technology.